G'day, Paul from Small Crown Productions here, and welcome to the Business of Art. On this channel, I dig into all of the things that we need to help us build a business around our creative work. So tips, tools, strategies, interviews, mindset, whatever I can do to help share knowledge from people who know what they're talking about so that we can do business better and make money from our creative work. So if that is something you are interested in, please consider subscribing. This video is one in a series of over 15 videos relating to tax and finance for creative people in Australia. So this is specific to Australia. It is also general advice. Always, always, always seek specific advice about your situation in your region or country where you are. What I did was ask my creative network for a question that they would love to ask a tax and finance specialist, and then I bundled them all up and took them to Matt Tucker, the principal of Creative Crunches here in Brisbane. Creative Crunches is an arts-focused accountancy firm. They know what they're talking about when it comes to Australian tax law, tax and finance for creative people. But again, general advice, always seek specific advice to your situation. Matt was super generous to donate his time. I cannot thank him enough for taking the time out of his day to actually sit and answer these questions for us all. So with that, let's dive in to today's question. As a sole trader, I earn money via contracting as an actor and a facilitator, and I also sell goods and services under a business name. Does the money I earn across these channels need to be treated any differently because of how I earn it or what I earn it from?
The income that you're earning from these activities is probably going to be accessible. So we talked earlier about the concept of actually getting over that line of being in business. Let's assume that mark has been made. So once that's there, really a person is taxed according to the income that they earn, and that is income according to ordinary concepts. So if you've got your hand in finger in a lot of different pies, that's common. And at the core of what you're doing, in many of those cases, it'll be the fruits of your labor. And that's generally speaking income according to ordinary concepts. So unless one of those activities that you're doing, one of those channels, happens to be something that you're doing really just as a private recreational pursuit or hobby, which we're not, then it's going to be accessible. Now, in this example, so we've got contracting as an actor. It's personal services. It's those personal services and skill sets. Facilitator, exactly the same. And a set builder, same thing. There might be some materials that are used in the set building process, whereas others might just be, acting as just you in front of the camera. But when you're paid as a set builder, it would be you're getting paid for your labor and you're getting paid to be reimbursed for your materials, hopefully. So the nature of all of that activity is still accessible income by nature because it's still income according to ordinary concepts. Now the other one, which was the puzzles under a business name. All right, so that's a little bit of a different activity, but at the end of the day, that person is providing their efforts and skills to build those puzzles, and then they're selling them. And so that's maybe just sale of manufactured goods. Think about it in those broad terms. And the sale of manufactured goods is still income according to ordinary concepts. It's income from trading. If we've got clients that are in this space where they're doing multiple things, the thing that we're trying to make an educated decision on is this person a freelancer operating in a particular creative space where they just happen to have their fingers in a few different pies, and that is very common. So we've got plenty of clients who they play in bands, they shoot short films, they act, they direct, they are just out there in the community. They do arts facilitation workshops. They've got networks in with the arts organisations, and they're just one of these people that's seemingly everywhere at once. Now, even though there's a lot of different activities there, we would still look at a person like that probably objectively and say, look, this is you, this is your ABN, you invoice using that ABN on a range of different projects, but really at the end of the year, this is your business, this is what you do. Our toughest thing is just trying to find a general industry code that tries to describe the full gamut of what you're doing, but the underlying nature of all of those jobs is it's income and it's taxable, and let's get it into the tax return.
There's no different process to apply to those things?
Well, the only thing that would be different in the case of the puzzle business being separated, then that person's tax return at the business section would actually have two business schedules. One of them the puzzle making, one of them the creative set building acting endeavours, and say that that's just like services to the arts.
Yes.
So what that person would then face is that all of those non-commercial loss provisions, we'd have to look at that those two businesses on their own. So for all of those expenses that they've got, because in the mind of the taxpayer, they've probably just got this one set of business expenses that they're kind of applying to both. But what we'd really need to do is say, look, we need to have some sort of system in place that any of your specific dedicated expenses against this puzzle making business are identified. Because it could be as common as, okay, you've got a car and you're keeping a logbook and you're doing all of that, that's great. But every time you jump in the car and do something business related, is it a puzzle related trip or is it a services to the arts related trip? Because at the end of the day, we're going to have a 100% car expense, which is all the rego and insurance and all of those fuel and oil and all those things. We're going to have a logbook that says 65% of this car for the year is a tax deduction. And then we've got a further question to say, well, out of that 65%, which is deductible, how much of this tax deduction is coming from the work that's being done in the puzzle business and how much is coming from the services to the arts? So that tax deduction for the car almost needs to be split between those two business schedules. So once we've done all that work, you've got two business schedules. Now you might find the services to the arts is running smoothly, steaming ahead, it's profitable, and really all that is profits put onto the tax return, and the question is how much tax are we going to be paying on that? But maybe the puzzle business is still in its infancy and a lot of money is being ploughed into that. It's costing more than it's earning. It doesn't meet non-commercial loss tests. There's no love, and we're having to defer that loss on that particular business. So, yeah, and so there will be things that particular client faces. The ultimate tax treatment at the end of the day could be a bit different for each of those arms.
There we go. Thanks again to Matt Tucker from Creative Crunches for taking the time to answer these questions. If you have a tax and finance question of your own that you would like to ask, please pop it in the comments below and I will do everything I can to get that answered, or link you to one of the other videos where it may already have been asked and answered. Also in the description below is a link to the playlist that contains all of these tax and finance questions, so you can dig through there and see if your question has already been answered. And of course, it would be fantastic if you could like this video, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, if you got something of value out of this, there is a good chance you will know somebody else who can as well. Please share it with them, tag them in the comments, whatever you've got to do, pay it forward so that we can keep helping each other out. Thanks very much. I'll see you on the next one.